When we have the courage to walk into our story and own it, we get to write the ending. And when we don't own our failures, our setbacks, and our hurt, it owns us. Hey, I'm Casey. I have a master's in mental health and multiple flavors of neurodivergency myself. And it is my mission to help you understand your neurodivergent brain better and learn how to work and grow and heal with that brain so you can have a fulfilling, happy, and healthy life. If that sounds like what you're looking for, be sure to hit subscribe and stick around for a whole lot more. First up, what are these stories that we need to own? Our stories are the experiences we have where we go beyond just the events that happened. It's how we talk to ourselves about what happened, the emotions that we carry, the responses that we have, how we convey that story to other people. The stories that we tell ourselves are the assumptions that we've made and the things that we have internalized and the lessons that we've taken away from these events in our life. Our stories are also what creates the lens on how we see and interact with the world around us. And as our stories change and grow and evolve, our lens shifts as well. And that's what makes it so important to own our stories, because in that ownership, we get more control over the lens that we are seeing and interacting with the world through. Okay, then, so what does it mean to own your story? Owning our stories when we start to accept our stories and our feelings and our reactions without judgment or shame or guilt. It's about letting ourselves acknowledge what happened without becoming numb or overwhelmed by revisiting those experiences. Owning your story can also come with a lot of vulnerability and letting yourself really be seen, which can be scary. I'll be the first to admit it. But it's also about acknowledging and embracing the parts and pieces that make you who you are and make you a unique individual. Owning your story is about learning from your past and rewriting the narratives that aren't suiting you anymore, which sometimes comes with harsh moments of accountability as we have to take responsibility for our role in a situation. Or it can be letting go of the shame that you carry because what happened truly wasn't your fault. Owning your story is both the first step in acceptance and personal growth, and it is also a never-ending process in the growth journey. So for you driver-type personalities, I'm really sorry, this is not a thing you can sit down and bang out in the weekend and check the box and be done with. This is just a part of the journey, but it's such a key part. So why is it so key? Why does it matter that we learn to own our stories and that we go back through our past and rewrite these narratives? There's two big reasons, one of which I already touched on, and that's letting go of guilt and shame and burdensome feelings that aren't yours to be carrying. It's about processing forgiveness and grief and growing from those experiences. But value number two of your owning your story comes from community. When we own our story, it allows us to see what happened. It gives us language to be able to talk about what we're going through, what we went through. And with that language, it gives us the ability to connect to community. It allows us to find other people who understand what we've been through. So let me give you a really common example that happens in folks that are diagnosed or realize late in life that they're neurodivergent. You live a lifetime of feeling out of place, being told that you're quirky, you're weird, you're too loud, you're too much, you're not enough, never fitting in. And the stories you write internalize that as you being broken or invalid or wrong or different. Those are the stories you've created because you didn't know you were neurodivergent. But now you realize you may be neurodivergent. Maybe you've even gotten a formal diagnosis. And now we go back and look at all of those stories from your past, and you can begin to rewrite the narrative. And there's this moment that I see again and again in my clients. Like, oh shit, that wasn't me being broken. That was me being ADHD. The realization that I'm not a terrible friend. I'm just autistic and socializing can be hard. And so when you are able to look back at those narratives with the words like neurodivergent, autistic, ADHD, you can process those stories in a whole different way. You can step into them in a whole different way that's going to give you so much power back. It also gives you so much understanding moving forward as you navigate adult friendships and jobs and taking care of yourself. Now you understand why you are the way you are, and you can start to own that without judgment. And when you have that language, now you can find your community and realize you really, really aren't alone in these experiences. But without knowing your story, without having that language, you couldn't have that community. When you pull all of those together, that is amazing. The biggest influence on your behavior is the stories that you're telling yourself. And if you can change those stories, you can change your life. Okay, so how do we own our stories? How do we do this? Because I know you want step-by-step instructions, because I wanted step-by-step instructions when I started figuring this out. Really, this is a whole nother video. So if you want that video, drop me a comment that says, Casey, I want that video, and I'll be sure to make it happen, including the specific exercises to help you really delve into and start rewriting your story. But here's the quick version so I don't leave you hanging today. The first step is to start exploring your past without judgment. Whether that's through journaling or therapy or coaching, or even just being aware of the voice and the stories as they pop up in your head, you just got to tune in and start hearing the stories. A lot of our stories come with big emotions, and one of the simplest but also hardest step is letting these big emotions come up without judgment. There are no right or wrong emotions. Emotions are morally neutral. Everything you feel is valid. Let that feeling be. The second step involves going through these stories and separating actual facts of the story from the emotions and assumptions and outcomes that you created and attached to the story. And the third step is where we do the rewriting. This can look a lot of different ways. You can look for a lesson or a gift that came out of that situation so that you can start to put a positive spin on that story. Sometimes it's about coming to the realization of what you don't want to carry anymore and letting yourself move forward without that baggage. Or sometimes it's letting yourself actually feel the feels, honor that it happened, and hold space for yourself. Like I said in the beginning, owning your story is both the first step in growth and the never-ending process of growth. This shit isn't fast or easy, but it is 1000% worth it. And if you found this insightful or helpful, check out my video about self-trust next, because it is a really good piece to go with this storytelling.